This is the top 5 meta loadouts for Warzone and Rebirth Island, and for Season 5 Reloaded, I have all the updates for you guys to make sure you guys have the best possible choices. So the first thing we're going to start out with is the static HV. The nerf actually wasn't that significant. All it did was take away some minimum damage range, and because this is so close, this is the best choice for close range engagement. Throw on the Quartermaster Suppressor for being undetectable by the radar, gun kick control, and aim down. Throw on the Quartermaster Suppressor for being undetectable by the radar, gun kick control, and recoil control. This is still the best choice. It helps with 10% for recoil gun kick and vertical recoil and 23% for horizontal recoil. This is the best choice. There's really no alternative to choose. You don't even need the Sonic Suppressor. Believe me when I say you're going to be using this for mostly close range engagements. And even if you do get into mid-range engagement, it's still viable. Throw on the Auger 840 Light Barrel for aim down, sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and hip fire and attack stand spread at the cost of recoil control and gun kick control. Now, if you're not much of a movement person, instead of using this, you can put on the Garrett 8 Long Barrel instead. FTAC MSP 98 hand stop for aim walking speed, vertical recoil, gun control, and movement speed. The cause of aim walking steadiness and horizontal recoil. This is the best choice just because you're still getting good movement speed, but this tackles the main recoil pattern, which is the vertical recoil. Nightmare Model 2023 for the precision side. I mean, there's not really much going on with this. It's just a little bit better than the Jack Glasses optic because the Jack Glasses optic, you lose ADS speed, whereas this you don't. Finally, I put on the no stock for sprint to fire speed, movement speed, aim walking speed, and hip fire spread. Now, I know you guys see the recoil control downside, but the mobility and handling increase are just so worth it. Believe me, this is the best choice. If you can't handle it though, you can throw on the SPURY 34 light stock, and it goes well with the FTAC. This is still the best SMG at short to mid range in my opinion. It just really gets the job done super quick. Now, the only thing I will say is super long range engagements like this, I would kind of avoid just because of the recoil pattern. Now, if you take off no stock, it'll be way easier, but this is the entire setup for the no stock. Now, if you don't want to use that, you can take this off. You can put on the SPRY 34 and you'll get a better basically outcome. As you guys see, the recoil isn't that crazy at this point. It's pretty manageable. And if you want to take it a step further where you want just some more bullet velocity or more damage range, then what you guys can do instead of the Auger 840, put on the Garrett 8 Long Barrel instead. That way you have all your bullet velocity and damage range that you lost previously. And honestly, you won't have that much recoil, which is pretty much what a lot of people want. You guys want to have something super viable at long range as an SMG, so this may be the optimal choice for you. Next, for the STG-44, even though this got nerfed, I'm going to sum up the nerf for you. It takes one more bullet to kill. So with that being said, let's get right into this. Throw on the Quartermaster Suppressor for being undetectable by the radar, gun kick control, and recoil control at the cost of aim down, sight speed, and sprint to fire speed. Now, this is still the best choice, 10% for recoil and gun kick and vertical recoil, and 23% for horizontal recoil. Richter C70 Long Barrel for bullet velocity and range, and aiming elsewhere at the cost of hip fire accuracy, hip recoil control, which does not matter, in gun kick control. This is so beneficial, 28% for effective and minimum damage range and 21% for damage range. 50 round drum is the best choice overall in my opinion. You should not use the 40 just because you want as many bullets as possible. If you want to, be my guest, but I think it's nice to have those 10 extra bullets. Oreo Eagle's Eye 2.5 times is my personal preference. If you want to use the Jack Glasses, you can. I just like using this instead. Finally, the DR79 combo stock for gun kick control, recoil control, and firing aim stability. The cons don't really matter. You get 11% increase of horizontal and vertical recoil control and 21% for recoil gun kick. Like I said before, the only downside is it takes one more bullet to kill, but honestly, I don't think that there's any weapon that really compares to this right now. They did buff the MCW, but what I see people mainly using it for is the close range SMG version of the MCW. So I think that this is still going to be mainly used in Warzone, and if I'm wrong, then I'll see that when I see it, but at the moment, this is what everyone's going to be using. Striker got a significant buff, basically taking one less bullet to kill, and this thing basically has 0 recoil to begin with, so here is the best build. Throw in the Quartermaster Suppressor for being undetectable by the radar, gun kick control, and recoil control at the cost of aim down, sight speed, and sprint to fire speed. 10% for vertical recoil, gun kick, and 23% for horizontal recoil. Absolute best choice. Throw in the Striker Recon Long Barrel for bullet velocity and range, aiming out elsewhere at the cost of hip fire and attack stand spread, sprint to fire speed, aim walking speed. This is a fantastic choice for range, 18% for effective and minimum damage range, and 15% for bullet velocity. XRK Edge BW for hand stop for aim walking speed, movement speed, aim down, sight speed, sprint to fire speed at the cost of aim walking steadiness and hip fire and attack stance spread. This is great for mobility and handling. 48 round mag, I mean, this is the best choice. I don't want too many cons. With the 60, you get 12 extra bullets, and the cons are just way too high, basically double what 12 less bullets do for you. Finally, the Lockman Recon Series stock for gun kick control, aiming elsewhere, and recoil control at the cost of hip fire and attack stance spread, sprint to fire speed, aim walking speed, and movement speed. This is the best choice for recoil control. Trust me, 25% recoil gun kick reduction, 5% for horizontal and vertical. You guys are going to see how crazy this thing is. And the firing range just takes no effort to use at all. Like, I'll be honest with you when I say you can actually use this SMG as an AR if you really wanted to. It's just a very, very low effort, super powerful weapon. Like, I'm not going to be surprised if you just see your lobbies filled with strikers at this point because of how powerful it is. This is the weapon that you're going to want to use. It's just honestly one of the most elite weapons I've ever seen right now. For everybody that loves ranked play, this is absolutely the best choice for you right now, the SVA 545. Throw on the Sonic Suppressor for being undetectable by the radar, bullet velocity and damage range at the cost of sprint to fire speed, aim walking steadiness, and recoil control. This helps the effective and minimum damage range by 5% and bullet velocity by 13%, which is a fantastic choice. But if you don't want that, you can put on the 545 high grain rounds instead for a 15% boost overall for range. STV Precision Barrel for aiming out of sway, bullet velocity and range, gun kick control, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip fire and attack stand spread, aim walking speed, and sprint to fire speed. 12% increase, 13% increase, and 15% increase for range. The recoil control goes up a little bit too, which is very, very nice. Put on the Brune Heavy Support Grip for gun kick control, aiming out of sway, horizontal recoil, and fire, aim stability at the cost of aim down sight speed and vertical recoil. Now, if we want to be technical, maybe you don't necessarily need this just because we're going to set this to single fire. You could throw on the high grain rounds to top it off, but I'll show you how it looks before and after with Brune Heavy Support Grip. 60 round mag for as many bullets as possible. And finally, the Jack Glasses Optic, unless you're more of a fan than Corio Eagle's Eye, completely up to you, whatever one you want to use. With this build right here, it takes no effort to actually use this weapon. Even someone who has had their first game on, like I haven't even played a game yet, it has basically no recoil. And if we want to take off the Brune Heavy Support Grip, it's still going to be extremely easy to use. This is just like an insane weapon. So here's the entire build right here. This is what you're typically going to see in rank play. But say you want to take off the Brune Heavy Support Grip and you want to put on the high grain rounds, you put that on instead. You go into the firing range. This is going to be the outcome. Set the single fire. It's basically going to be about the same, in my opinion, which is absolutely ridiculous, except you're going to get more range now. So whichever one you want is completely up to you. You can throw either one on there and still have a fantastic time. Finally, the absolute meta close range weapon, the Reclaimer 18. They're on the Bryson improved choke for hip fire and attack stand spread, tighter pellet spread, and damage range. Don't worry about the cons, they just don't matter. You get an increase of damage and range, which is what we're really looking for with this shotgun, and accuracy actually goes up, which is a massive bonus. They're on the Discourager 900 heavy barrel for the tube ammo capacity, bullet velocity and range, recoil control, and gun kick. But those parts don't really matter, but they're helpful regardless. 15% for effective damage range, minimum damage range 14%, 7% for bullet velocity. That's the absolute thing that we're searching for. There's no better alternative. Next, we put on the X10 TX12 hand stop for attack stand spread, aim down sight speed, and sprint to fire speed. I know that there's a con of hip fire spread. You don't really notice it. The attack stand spread is the thing we're really searching for, along with the sprint to fire speed and ADS speed. Next, we're putting on the Haste 15 grip tape for attack stand spread and sprint to fire speed at the cost of flinch resistance, which does not matter because you're not going to be ADSing this regularly. Now, you get a 19% increase of attack stand spread and the sprint to fire speed 12%, which is better than anything else that you could put on there. Finally, we're putting on the no stock for crouch movement speed, sprint to fire speed, aim down sight speed, and aim walking speed. This is massive for mobility and handling. The hip fire spread minimum 23%, max 6%, and attack spread increase 6%, which is absolutely vital for this shotgun right here. Now, when you do use this shotgun, instead of holding it like this, make sure you set it to tack stance, because when you use this in tack stance, it's going to be an absolute busted weapon. I can't show you guys really up close and personal. Well, I can't show you guys in the firing range. This is really an up close and personal shotgun that takes the enemies down in 2 shots minimum. So make sure you take a picture, screenshot, whatever you guys have to do, because this is the best close range weapon, and they have not nerfed this yet.